And so that was kind of the theme of this report. How are firms doing that? How are they approaching change? And I was really fortunate to speak with a lot of leaders in this space.
Yeah. What are some of the big takeaways that you have from doing this work and preparing this report?
One of the things that we really tried to understand was how are law firms driving change? What does that look like? How do you overcome change fatigue? How do you make change seamless? How do you build consensus? And lots of firms talked about this idea of being super prepared, highly communicative, and incredibly resilient. And if you kind of follow that model, you'll be able to bring people in and have them join you on this journey of change. And that is a core component. It was a sort of a recurring theme for a lot of these issues. And we also talked about what does leadership look like today? I'm a big fan, obviously, of your leader, Debbie Foster. I've known her for many, many years and just watched her exceptional leadership in the community and your organization bear fruit in so many different ways, not only for your clients, but for your team. And so one of the things that we looked at was what are the qualities of leaders in terms of their curiosity, their ability to listen, their empathy. And of course, the pandemic really changed this. It really accentuated and emphasized the need for leaders to build increasing levels of humanity into their approach and into their interaction. And sometimes people just want to be heard. They just want you to listen. They don't even need you to say anything other than an I understand or a nod and just an active listening person on the other side. And I think that people are starting to realize that in some ways, less is more. Being familiar with what's happening in the industry and observing is going to be really powerful. I always tell a story that when I was a kid, my dad used to always ask me to hold the flashlight. And it sort of just became this common thing. He'd be doing some plumbing or some electrical work or whatever, painting, and he'd always ask me to hold the flashlight. I didn't necessarily have to do the thing because I didn't know what I was doing, but if he was doing some wiring or some plumbing and working with some pipes under the sink in the washing machine, whatever it was, I'd have to hold this flashlight. And he'd always make sure I was focused on whatever he was doing. Sometimes the light was on and sometimes it was daylight. And at some point I didn't really understand it. And it was kind of annoying. If you ever hold a flashlight for a really long time, it's kind of irritating. And then I remember he would ask me, he'd be doing something in the yard outside. He'd be like, get the flashlight. And I'd be like, at some point I became older. I was really a teenager and sort of annoying. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. And I stopped holding the flashlight. And it wasn't until I became an adult, I realized my dad never needed the light. He just wanted me to learn what he was doing. And it's such a powerful, especially he's not here anymore, but it's such a powerful thing for me because I am a pretty handy guy. And I attribute it completely to my dad. And I think that the thing about that is that leaders are often now encouraging their teams to kind of spotlight that for them and to spotlight that for themselves and to be more mindful of what their organizations and what the individual component parts of their organizations are. People are concerned, right? There's a concern that technology, for example, is taking pieces and parts of what people are doing. And I am constantly thinking of that. I've been working on my own for 18 years. And over the course of 18 years, there's been automation or outsourcing or other ways that people can do some of the things that I feel like I've done. And so I'm regularly thinking, how do I adapt? How do I make this better? Where can I add value? How can I provide a level of client service that is so delightful and so helpful and so value added that it will really make this relationship just super powerful and sustainable. And I think that a lot of organizations are trying to do that, and leaders are trying to get their teams, the leaders of the different teams, managers of the different groups, even the individuals who are being led to look at what's happening in that client interaction or look at what's happening in that employee interaction just to elevate the entire organization and to build such a great culture that it's just it has the fortitude to adapt to whatever is yet to come.
Yeah. Love that flashlight analogy or story.